Namaste. Good morning to all. Welcome to morning session. Namaste Gopal Babu Bhaiya.
नमस्ते दीदी।
जी भैया, we have sharing of Mirunalini Didi today भैया. Should we start the sharing?
जी दीदी जी।
Namaste Mirunalini Didi. Good morning.
मॉर्निंग दीदी। नमस्ते दीदी। नमस्ते भैया।
Ji Didi, I am putting your introduction, then you can start your sharing.
ओके दीदी।
So we have sharing of Mirunalini Didi today. Mirunalini Didi did their first FTP in January 23 in online mode. Didi joined morning session in 9th batch from June 2023. Didi is working as associate professor in SRM Medical College Hospital and Research Center, and Didi is participating as a lead volunteer in holistic health team. Ji Didi, welcome and over to you.
थैंक यू दीदी। थैंक यू फॉर द इंट्रोडक्शन। नमस्ते ऑल। नमस्ते भैया। My journey in UHV, as Didi has said, it started in the offline mode in June of 2023, and my real exploration started after the offline mode. So I've been practicing these exercises 1 and 2 since the ninth batch, and I would say the first step I did was putting in conscious effort to practice the steps in the exercise. And then slowly over a period of time, I was able to reach a point where I was able to observe my imagination. So initially, the one observation I saw was that there were two places inside me at the same time. So one was an agitated and disturbed place where the thoughts would come and go and would get replaced by some other thoughts. And the other was a place of total silence. So once I started seeing these two places at the same time inside me, the first understanding that I am not the thoughts, but the one observing the thoughts, it emerged. So once it became clear that I am not the thoughts, from that point onwards, the practice of putting effort for observing it automatically changed into a habit. And once the habit was in place, I was able to do the different steps in the exercise. And as a result of that, I have gained more understanding. As of now, I can say on at least 5 different aspects. So the first understanding is the current state of my being at the level of the self. So I can see that I can understand clearly that I am at the level of 3B, expecting feelings from the others. And I'm able to see that this is a very, very addicting stage, and it is requiring a lot of effort from me to remain in awareness and not to get carried away by the feelings of favorable sensation from others. And second understanding is the clarity about how I'm using the physical body. So I have been using the physical body through the sense organs to gain happiness from physical facilities, and in the process, I have been spoiling the health of the body. And third understanding is about the importance of the body for the development of the self. So I observed that when the body is in disharmony, I can see that myself operated predominantly from the B2 block. And when the body is in harmony, I am able to be in awareness more frequently. So as long as my predominant state of operation is from B2 block, I need to ensure the physical health of the body so that doing the exercises will have less resistance from the body. So this gave me an understanding about the importance of health of the body. And fourth is about my role and scope of participation in this existence. So, as a natural outcome of this exploration process, my content of imagination has shifted from me and my body alone to relationships and then to the society and all the people I see suffering. I'm not able to explain how exactly this happened, but I'm able to observe this shift that has happened within me. And fifth is about the concept of faith. So I was an atheist before this exploration started. So whenever I was faced with difficulty in day to day life, I used to be in a lot of fear and desperation, not knowing what to do. But after this process of exploration, I'm able to see that the life is not a chain of uncertain events, but it is a very beautiful opportunity that has been given to me so that I can explore myself and develop myself. So this clarity has taken the fear of life from me, and it has given me a hold on faith that all things are happening for me. So these are a few of the understandings till now that has emerged from practicing these exercises. And coming to the number of steps I'm able to see clearly. So in exercise 1, step 1, being aware. So I'm able to be aware of my imagination most of the time. So initially at the beginning phase, I was able to be aware only when I sat down to do the exercise, but later on, slowly, I'm able to observe even when doing my daily tasks like cleaning, cooking, working in hospitals, speaking to others, and so on. But even though the frequency has increased over this 2 years, it is still an ongoing practice, and I'm not able to do it in continuity at all the time. So, as a result of this observation, the understanding that emerged was more awareness about the patterns of my imagination. So, till now, I'm able to identify three different kinds in the patterns of my imagination. So, the second and the third steps are the feelings naturally acceptable, and are you in harmony with the feeling? So, yes, I'm able to observe these steps also. And to give an example, so one incident happened with my friend where I reacted with irritation when she disturbed me when I was doing a PPT presentation to prepare for a class. So, I was able to observe later that the feeling behind my behavior was fear, and the fear that I could not complete the particular task I was doing because of the behavior of my friend. So this led to thought like, why is she disturbing me like this? And this led to action of a reaction with irritation. So I was able to observe that my block B2 was giving me many reasons to justify my behavior, but at the same time I was able to observe that this feeling was not naturally acceptable to me and I was in disharmony within. So, steps 4 and 5, like who decided and on what basis. So, right now I'm able to do this step when I sit for observation, and I hope with practice I will be able to do exactly at the moment when the feelings start. So, in the previous incident with my friend, I was able to see that I had many options to respond to her if I had been in awareness at that moment, but instead I reacted. So the choice was made by this B2 block on the basis of assumption without guidance from B1, and this assumption was in turn it rooted from fear again of being faced with this feeling of unworthiness. That was the deep rooted feeling which I assumed that will get triggered from my sanskars if I had to face negative judgments from others if I had not finished the task on time. So I found that this reaction from me was based on assumption of this feeling of unworthiness that was very deep rooted in me. So steps 6 and 7, what are the naturally acceptable feeling and to ensure them. So whenever I am in a feeling of relationship and harmony, I am having this sense of calm and peace within me. So I know that these are my naturally acceptable feelings. And right now, I am able to explore these proposals at the level of a relationship and society. So I am able to understand as an information the context of coexistence at nature level, but I'm not able to experience it on my own at the level of nature. But at information level, I can see how I can contribute to this mutual fulfillment in nature. And slowly and steadily, I am working on ensuring this naturally acceptable feeling within me. My first step is trying to stay in awareness and continuity and following these steps in the exercise. My current state now is I am doing all these things a moment after I have reacted. But I hope that by continuing to do so, that I try to do these steps as and when the instances are happening outside. So my reactions they become responses. So in exercise 1, I can say I'm able to do almost all the 7 steps. But even if not in continuity, the frequency has definitely increased from June 2023 to this 2025. And coming to exercise 2, so the step 1, I am there. So, yes, as a result of doing exercise 1, I am clearly able to see that I am there and the body is there, but it is separate from me, and both me and my body are present with separate needs and separate activities. I am able to see this clearly. And steps 2, 3, and 4, transacting information with the body, and who decides, and how do I read the sensations. So, um, and these steps were a little difficult for me. So I am a medical doctor by profession, and for the past 22 years I have been training myself very rigorously to see human being as a cluster of many organ systems, and that the brain and the nervous system are the central for human existence. So I was under the assumption that all the activities of the body are through neural signalings to and from the brain through the physiochemical substances. So naturally, I found these steps very difficult to understand first. I had lot of questions. So whenever I sit for observation, what I observed following these steps is that, for example, so I'll get itching in some places, and I observed that there was a very strong sensation urge to take my hand out and scratch. But this action did not happen. So, what I understood from this is the body is sending physiochemical and neural signals to the brain. And if the brain was the real decision maker, then it should have automatically sent the return signals and made the hand to move and scratch. But here, what happened, I can observe that the return signals had happened because I got the urge to scratch. That urge was there, but the action did not happen. So, when I started observing these things very minutely, like micromanaging step by step at what level what is happening, I got the question that even though the entire circuit of neural signaling happened from the sensation of itching to the urge to scratch back, but the action of scratching did not happen. So then I got the question like, who is the real decision maker here? And who is the one observing all these things which are happening? So this is a very small observation, but for me, it it was a observation that got a huge meaning behind it, and it changed my perception about human being. And so, after many similar observations in daily activities like cutting the vegetables, washing the dishes, making the words come out of my mouth to speak, opening eyes, and so on, and exploring more medical books, and I even started speaking to neurologists also, like what is all these things happening. But even the neurologists, they could not give any conclusive results to why this particular selection and actions are happening from the body. So I finally understood that the body, including the brain, is a self-organized system which is equipped with all the necessary physiochemical substances, and the brain has no part in deciding the voluntary and the reflex activities of the body. So it is only an instrument that transmits the signals to the necessary part of the body to do the activity. But the experiencer and the decision maker is the self. And the involuntary activities of the body, like breathing, circulation, digestion, excretion, they are all part of self organization of the material unit, and they can be performed on their own. But even there, the self has got the capability to interfere in their activity and change the actions if the self decides to do so. So, with this step, I became very clear that the body is a material unit and I am the consciousness unit. And even though we exist together, we are still different. So, of the exercises, I found that this step was very challenging for me to do, and I took a lot of time to understand this step. I started this exercise in the ninth batch, but only by the 12th batch, I was able to do this exercise too fully because of I got stuck in this one step. And coming to the fifth and the sixth steps, my interaction with the body, and whether I tend to react or respond based on my sanskars. So I am able to see that the sense organs of the body are the doors through which information from the outside world and the body they reach the self. So like in step 5 of exercise 1, I can see how my reactions are based on my sanskars. And with these two steps, I was able to understand the importance for need of a healthy body. So because whenever the body was in harmony, I was able to read the sensations from the outside world without any disturbance from the physiochemical changes from the body. So this I was able to observe whenever I was hungry. I observed that I react and get angry. Like for example, when my husband would speak to me whenever I was hungry. But when the same words are spoken to me by my husband, when I'm not hungry, I respond to it. Even though the signals that I get is through the words and activation of my ears and the same brain centers through the signals, my reactions are different. So I observe that since I am in the process of self development, I am most of the time operating from B2 block, and that whenever my body is in disharmony, my B2 block acts mostly from preconditionings and assumptions, and I'm finding it very difficult to do the process of contemplation at those times. So this observation made me realize the importance of having harmony in the body. So as a natural result of this, now, for the past 6 months, my dieting has changed. I have started implementing the program for health. Like I've started doing some physical exercises in the morning. The main changes I've started eating on time, which previously I will never do it. So this is about the step six, 5 and 6. And in step 7, coexistence in space and bodies and coexistence in space. So for this step, at the level of information, I am able to see this as a fact because even the smallest cell, any tissue of this body or any material unit, if we take it and keep dissecting it and keep zooming it under a microscope, at the end all we see is space between the particles. So I am able to see this as an information, but I am not able to experience this on my own. So this is about step 7 and exercise 2. So these many steps I'm able to do in exercise 1 and exercise 2. And happiness is your innate nature. So as a result of exercise 1 and 2, I have clarity that I am not the body, I am not the content of my imagination, but I am the one who is observing all these things. So previously, I was under the assumption that all the reactions from me, including happiness, sadness, anger, were all due to something that is happening to me from the outside. I used to think that anything that happened on the outside, they produced some sensations in me and produced some secretions of hormones in the brain, and that is why, and it is stimulating some particular parts of the brain, and that is why we react, including happiness, like dopamine and serotonin for happiness, and other hormones for sadness, anger, and all the neural networks. But once, as a result of this exercise 1 and 2, I was able to clearly see that all the enzymes and hormones, they are a result of the reactions that is coming from me, but they are not the cause of the reactions. So now I am able to see that I react and respond based on my sanskars. So with this clarity and practice of being able to be aware of my imagination, I can now make a decision on how to respond to any event. So previously, I thought that whatever happens, these things happen in an automatic mode that we have no choice, but only to use logical thinking to do it. But now, once this observation process has started and I started to see my imagination separate from me who is observing, I now have this freedom. I know that I have this freedom to make a decision at any time as long as I remain in that awareness. So, when my decisions are based on this naturally acceptable feelings, I observe that I am able to remain calm and peaceful in spite of any event on the outside. So, I am now clear that happiness is my innate nature and not something that is getting influenced from the outside. And my program to ensure happiness is for me, I think it is to align the purpose of my living with activities that give me a piece of calmness and peace. So, this is the program I have put for myself. So, along with this peace, satisfaction, and contentment. So, I find that all these things put together It means that it is to rightly utilize this body and the skills which are associated with this body for participation in larger order for betterment of the society. So this is what I define my happiness is. So I am ensuring this by actually volunteering in UHV activities and human health projects. So even though I was here exploring UHV for the past 2 years, and even though I was called forth to volunteer for many things, it did not come naturally to me until this January or February. So only then all these shifts it started happening in me. I can observe all these shifts that were happening in me, and then this became a very natural path for me to take, because that only gave me this sense of rightness, the sense of calm, peace, satisfaction, and all these things when I started doing this in addition to my profession. So I think this is happiness for me. And my commitment, like how much time I can devote. So I can truly say that my template of living has changed. So previously it was all about my profession, that I should get name, fame, and money through my profession and then provide luxury for my family. And that's it. I never had any idea about being in good relationships or to provide something for society and all. But now the template of my living has changed, and the first priority I can say is I am devoting to self development through right understanding. And obviously, this leads to mutual fulfillment in relationship. And now, my contribution, something to the society, is also there. And my profession, which previously used to be the most predominant one, has now changed into something, a means through which I can earn the required physical facility. So this is how my template has changed. So my entire day I'm in a mode of self-observation, and I listen to UHV videos in YouTube whenever I need some guidance. And I'm naturally volunteering for holistic health team, and I am also a part of our team development group 5 under Umesh Ji. So most of my days, whenever I'm not working in hospital, whenever I'm not doing emergency cases, most of my time is devoted for this. Even when I interact with my kids, when I interact with my parents, my in-laws, or my husband, this is the thing that is going in the back of my mind. The way I see the relationship is also changed. Previously I used to think that relationships are something which I need to give, and they also need to give to me. But now I can see that they are an opportunity for me to share whatever I have in terms of physical facility and in terms of emotional needs or the all the right feelings. It is only for me to share that whatever I have. So now my template has changed, like I have to start developing and start increasing all the right things that have inside me, which is happening through this right understanding. So this is my commitment, and I commit to continue with this also. So, this is all my sharing. Thank you all for listening. And I really thank all my mentors for guiding me through this process. Thank you.
Now let's take feedback from Gopal Bhaiya and Sharmila Didi regarding sharing of Mrinalini Didi. Gopal Bhaiya.
जी नमस्ते दीदी.
Namaste, Bhaiya.
नमस्ते दीदी. I met Didi in Chennai, SRM Chennai. You know,
Namaste, Bhaiya.
so very explorative and deep exploration, and expressed in a balanced manner from exercise 1 to exercise 2. So it is good that we all are in process, and as Didi has shared that she is able to see two places in her consciousness. One is there is a chaos, opposition, reaction, and one place is where there is a peace, uh, calmness, quiet. So observing these two is very important. Yeah. So once we are able to see it, then we can realize that my happiness doesn't depend on others, even not on my thought and sanskar. So to see these two things is very important. And and also to see this choice that I can be at any one of those places. So I can be at the level of thought or I can be at the level of pure observer. So this choice, so exploring this choice, seeing this choice is also very important. So as Didi has shared both the things, so it is very nice, Didi, that you are able to see it. And secondly, as Didi said about exercise too, is also very important because Didi has that kind of technical background, medical background. So she is more able to see from scientific perspective and from the perspective of observation. So from both perspective, Didi can see anatomy of body and role of self in communicating with the body. So with that background, Didi is able to explore more. So that was also encouraging for all of us. And, and as Didi said that she is also able to see the pattern of their mind, her mind. So because of daily routine, our mind gets trained and it responds or react in a very fixed manner. So to observe that pattern and confidence that I can observe that pattern, I can change that pattern of mine is also very important. And Didi has put it very beautifully, authentically with examples. So all these sharing that Didi has put are very important. And it shows that Didi is exploring very seriously the self, the body, the interaction between the self and the body. And Didi is also into the process to see the pattern of mind, to see the mind, and to explore the choice that I can observe my mind without getting affected from it. So maybe it is not continuous, but important is that it is able to see it, that it can happen. With awareness, it can happen, and with continuous awareness, it can happen continuously. So maybe continuity is not there, but having sense of these choices is very important. So nice, Didi, and Didi is volunteering in many ways. In fact, in SRM, Didi is contributing to VECell, its activities in a very dedicated manner. And Didi, I have found Didi to think over the proposals. She thinks very sincerely. She explores the proposal. She used to verify the proposals. So all are these qualities. That listening proposal is one part, but verifying these proposals, doing exercise uh, with honesty. So all these things give us depth in exploration of the self. And Didi is doing all these things in very sincerely in a dedicated manner. Ji Didi. So nice Didi. Continue it.
Thank you, Bhaiya.
Anything else you want to comment on my sharing about you?
Oh, Bhaiya. Nothing, Bhaiya. Just lots of gratitude for all my mentors. That's all, Bhaiya.
Ji. Namaste Didi.
Thank you, Bhaiya.
Thank you so much, Gopal Babu Bhai, for your feedback. Now I request Sharmila Didi also to give her feedback on Didi's sharing. Namaste, Didi.
Namaste to everyone. Namaste, Miru.
Namaste,
I
Didi.
was very happy to hear your sharing today. and I don't believe I have heard your sharing before.
This is the first time, Didi.
Yes. And I think if I hadn't asked, maybe you may not have brought forward also.
Yes,
I
Didi.
see Meeruji as a very sincere, very honest, a little shy kind of a person who doesn't step out in the limelight. But I can see that she is very, very sincere as a human being. And I think with your sharing, many insights, many people would have got. A very important thing is that you have broken through that conditioning of I am body, which is so much reinforced in our medical education when we talk about the brain and everything that it does for the body. And I think your analysis of that and your coming to this conclusion that I am different and I am the decision maker, that is one of the key reflections that I think has helped you to break through that very deep conditioning. So that I think is like we keep hearing all, the people from the medical field also talking about the brain doing everything, but then in the very next breath, they talk of that we can change our brain pattern or we can condition the brain or we can train the brain, but they don't look at that who is that we, who is the one who is conditioning the brain. Can we talk about that? Because our conditioning is so deep. So I think with all the observation and the analysis, you've been able to break through that. That's something very creditable. And what I also want to share about Miruji is that she is one of the most committed and sincere volunteers that I have seen. In our work for holistic health, I think, I look at her as, the saying that goes that if you want to get something done, give it to the busiest person and it will be done. If I have to think of somebody with that, I would think of Miruji, because despite her busy schedule, despite all her responsibilities at home, she is still able to make time out for the health program. And I can say in the same breath that earlier, maybe before the observation, um, she felt she didn't have time for it. But as the exploration has become deeper, she has come forward and she's doing a lot of good work in the project of health. So, in fact, she's the lead volunteer for that. So, I just want to say that it was a wonderful sharing, very insightful, and I'm sure it was very, very inspiring for many other people. So, all the very best to you, Miru.
Thank you, Didi.